Momo Ayase becomes infuriated after her boyfriend insists she lend him money for a date and becomes prompted to make an attempt to kick him after he suggests they have sex at a love hotel, which results in their breakup. Heartbroken, she confides in her friends who question her attraction to her ex-boyfriend. Momo admits that she was drawn to him solely because he resembled her favorite actor, Ken Takakura, a reason her friends deem absurd. As Momo walks through the halls feeling downcast, she notices a male student being harassed in a classroom. Deciding to intervene, she sits at his desk giving the bullies a stern look until they stop. Afterwards, Momo leaves, but it's soon approached by the student she had defended. He eagerly engages her in a conversation about aliens and UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, which only serves to exhilarate her bad mood with his insistent chatter. Although she had no plans on befriending him, Momo apologizes upon realizing she had hurt his feelings and confesses her belief in ghosts over aliens. Hearing this, the male student smirks in disbelief at the existence of ghosts, prompting Momo to defend her stance by mentioning her grandmother as a spirit medium. This then led to a heated debate over their beliefs, culminating in a challenge to prove whether UFOs or ghosts are real. Late at night, Momo and the male student, whom she nicknames Occult-kun, reach their respective destinations to determine who is correct. Momo enters Nagi Hospital, where Occult suspects UFOs might appear, while Occult reaches a tunnel where Momo suspects a ghost might manifest. As they talk over the phone, Momo shares her past resentment towards her grandmother, having been bullied by the boys around her, including one who she previously liked, after being required by her relative to perform a ritual in public. She then reveals that she eventually forgave her grandmother and started believing in ghosts after realizing the value of her role as a spirit medium, and that what she actually hated was not the bullying but her crush mocking her guardian. Soon after, Occult encounters a elderly spirit known as Turbo Granny, who offers to have him suck out her breast in exchange for performing fellatio. Occult then flees in terror while denying the reality of the ghost. Momo warns him about the Turbo Granny ghost, explaining that being caught by her in a race means being cursed. Hearing Occult screams after the ghost catches up with him, Momo sets out to help him. However, upon glancing ahead, Momo is struck with a fear at the sight of three enigmatic figures lurking in the hallway. In a panic, she attempts to flee only to be captured and restrained by them. After waking up to find herself strapped to a chair in her underwear, the figures identify themselves as the Serpos, an extraterrestrial species seeking to obtain reproductive capabilities akin to those of humans. One of the Serpos reveals a mechanical device from their lower region, intending to extract her womb and reproductive organs through sexual means. Momo struggles her bindings, but the Serpos employs a psychokinesis to induce a state of arousal in her. Just as they're about to proceed, the ringing of Momo's phone diverts the Serpos' attention, leading to their astonishment as Turbo Granny emerges and bites off the device. Momo soon realizes that the ghost is actually a cult under her possession. The Serpos attempt to prevent the possessed individual from intervening, but are unable to react swiftly enough as Turbo Granny attacks their lower regions and removes their mechanical devices. After being pinned by their psychokinesis, Occult offers to fulfill the Serpos' desires, revealing his longing to meet aliens due to his lack of friends, until he met Momo and pleads for her safety. The Serpos, however, reject him and continue to hide in Momo's arousal. As this continues, Momo recalls her grandmother's instruction to perform the ritual in order to release her key, and manages to accomplish the task, resulting in her unlocking psychic abilities that help her break free from her restraints. With the ritual serving as a confirmation, Momo acknowledges her grandmother's true abilities as a spirit medium, and counters the Serpo with a powerful kick that sends the alien crashing back, causing damage to the UFO. Momo then suppresses Turbo Granny's possession over Occult after she attacks him. Before vanishing, Turbo Granny warns Momo that she has taken Occult's genitalia, and the only way to lift the curse is to confront her in the tunnel where she resides. Having served the UFO's destruction, Momo and Occult start to believe in the existence of both aliens and ghosts. Occult then prepares to take his leave to confront Turbo Granny, which he insists on doing alone to avoid further troubling. Nevertheless, Momo persists in offering her assistance. Occult accepts her generosity and apologizes for his behavior, explaining that it's due to him being an awkward fellow. Hearing a phrase reminiscent of Ken Takakura, Momo becomes taken aback but quickly regains her composure, dismissing any misconceptions. After inquiring about his name, realizing that she hadn't asked before, Momo was left speechless upon learning from Occult that his name is Ken Takakura. Unwilling to accept that his name is the same as her favorite idol, Ken Takakura, Momo tells Ken that he cannot use his name around her and decides to refer him as Okarun, a nickname he reluctantly accepts. With it being morning, a time when spirits don't show themselves, Momo invites Okarun over to her place until it's night again, and they can confront Turbo Granny together. Upon arrival, Okarun's body suddenly bursts into flames as he attempts to pass through the Torii Gate, prompting Momo to use her psychic powers to hurl him into the nearby river. She then discovers the talisman on her gate, meant to ward off evil spirits, was the cause and removes it to let Okarun pass through safely. Momo is then amused by Okarun's hair, which now resembles an old lady's perm, due to him being set on fire. Once both are inside and changed, Okarun becomes upset to find his genitals missing. prompting Momo to remind him that it was a consequence of his own actions when he approached her at school. Okarun confesses he didn't want to lose the chance to make a friend and fears that Momo could never befriend him. Momo reassures him that his real issue is his unintentional self-isolation and expresses her willingness to discuss the paranormal with him. Moved by her words, Okarun tears up but responds rudely, much to Momo's annoyance. The two then hear the sound of the doorbell. Not recognizing the chime, Momo believes that it's an evil spirit since her house has 2 chimes for humans and evil spirits, realizing that the reason an evil spirit is able to enter her home was due to her taking the talisman off the torii gate. Momo and Okarun go outside the back door and attempt to put the talisman right back where it belongs. However, they find the setting of the residence has changed, with a wall being embedded in the torii gate suddenly appearing to prevent them from putting the talisman back and blocking any chance for them to escape. Upon discovering their noses bleeding due to a harmful black mist entering the area, the pair encounter a hostile giant looming above them. The giant accuses them of breaking a promise and declares its intent to seize their banana organs. Momo and Okarun flee and hide from the giant's shockwave stomps, which Okarun recognizes as the Flatwoods Monster due to its appearance, whereas Momo conjectures its association with the Serpos based on its motive for the assault. Though Momo finds that fighting the Flatwoods Monster while suppressing Okarun's curse with her powers is impossible. Okarun believes that he might be able to fight the alien himself if she were to suppress Turbogranny's curse from his head to allow him to control his possessed body. As the Flatwoods Monster's next stomping shockwave attack is about to hit them, Momo follows Okarun's instructions, leading to the success of his plan. As Okarun transforms into a state where he commands Turbogranny's velocity, swiftly maneuvering both himself and Momo to avoid the attack and retaliate by biting off the colossal's alien fingers. However, Okarun coughs up blood from his mouth due to his human body being unable to handle the immense speed and is moved out of the way by Momo before he is stomped on by the Flatwoods Monster. While the two become conflicted as to how they need to go about defeating the Flatwoods Monster, Momo notices that it is fighting similarly to a sumo wrestler and believes that they could defeat it if they force it to touch the ground as prohibited in the sport. To carry out the plan, Momo employs her psychic abilities to suppress Okarun's curse with her right hand, enabling him to shatter the Flatwoods Monster's right leg, and uses her left hand to pull down the alien's body, leading to the disintegration of its right hand. Though they manage to harm it, the Flatwoods Monster grows an extra pair of legs to keep itself upright and slams Momo onto the wall blocking the torii gate. While trying to keep Okarun's curse suppressed, Momo is viciously beaten into the wall by the alien. Okarun pleads for Momo to focus on protecting herself, only to hear her refusal to admit defeat after becoming annoyed with the Flatwoods Monster for cheating. After the alien ceases its assault on her, Momo reveals that she intentionally planned to have the Flatwoods Monster beat her in order to create a crate in the wall, giving her enough space to put the talisman back in the original spot. She then pulls Okarun towards her and places the talisman back, resulting in the Flatwoods Monster being incinerated and bringing them back into the real world. Momo becomes revealed that the conflict has ended and notices how Okarun's hair has once again changed, which she finds likable. Following their battle, Momo is overcome with exhaustion and collapses in front of Okarun, resulting in Okarun falling prey to Turbogranny's curse due to the latter no longer active to use her powers to suppress it. In a live broadcast, psychic named Santa Dodoria delivers a reading for a celebrity's profile but is repeatedly corrected by him. Afterwards, the psychic hails a taxi to go home but chooses to walk the remaining distance, fearing the driver may be at risk if the journey continues. Before Turbogranny could consume Momo, her grandmother arrives on time to stop the evil spirit by throwing a brick with a nail and a circle that sets Turbogranny on fire. Following Momo's grandmother's challenge to a duel, Turbogranny tries to attack her from behind. However, she bursts into flames once again upon getting near the grandmother. Momo's grandmother then reveals that she has drawn a barrier with her bat to ward off evil spirits around herself, and that she has also created one around the evil spirits as well to trap her. Having been confined to one space, Turbogranny is repeatedly beaten by Momo's grandmother with her bat and is set on fire every time she comes close to crossing the barrier. Though Turbogranny warns Momo's grandmother that her intent to kill her will result in Okarun dying as well. The grandmother states that she will proceed regardless due to her trying to harm Momo as unforgivable. After Turbogranny notices that the second drawn barrier is in place, Psycho places a nail within the circle, says her farewell to the evil spirit, and erases the first drawn circle with her foot, setting off the evil spirit's warding flames. Later, Momo awakens in her bed, walking down to the living room and to find her grandmother engrossed in television. Concerned that Okarun might be in danger without her to suppress his curse, Momo inquires if her grandmother has seen him. She then becomes stunned to hear from her that she vanquished the evil spirit earlier. Momo questions her grandmother for more details, being concerned for Okarun's well-being, but is reminded of her grandmother of when she accused her of her being a sham spirit medium. After Momo gets down on her knees to apologize for this incident, she is told by her grandmother to check on the main shrine outside. Momo, then concerned for Okarun, hurries to the shrine. Upon opening the doors to find him safe and sound and happy to see him alive, her relief turns into irritation, leading her to shut the doors on him, which left Okarun perplexed by her abrupt change of mood. Her grandmother then comes out to assure that Okarun's curse is dormant within the shrine's confines and confesses to fabricating his demise to rile Momo and questions if she has feelings for him, to which she denies. After Momo reveals the emergence of her psychic abilities and Okarun's predicament, her grandmother cautions against engaging Turbo Granny, revealing that a while back she discovered that Turbo Granny has recently merged with the earthbound spirit within the tunnel, rendering her a powerful evil spirit and that not even she can hope to confront. Despite her grandmother telling her to steer clear of Okarun, Momo insists on aiding him, as she believes it's what Ken Takakura would do. After briefly considering teasing her granddaughter by comparing the 10 Takakura she admires to the boy in the shrine, she agrees to let her face Turbo Granny and outlines the strategy. She explains that Momo and Okarun must train in preparation to engage Turbo Granny in a game of tag, as a way of drawing her out of Shono City, and diminish her powers. Once again, Okarun expresses remorse to Momo for appearing feeble against the Flatwoods Monster and vows to improve himself. Momo reassures him of his bravery during the alien encounter and expresses her readiness to rescue him if necessary. Momo then prepares to grab Okarun a futon for him to sleep on and barley tea upon his request for some water. In the living room, Momo's grandmother views a television report revealing the Shoma, the celebrity that she had performed clairvoyance for, has had his secrets exposed, confirming the grandmother's predictions. Momo then comments on this being as unnecessary news. During the training, Momo sees Okarun's desperate need to use the bathroom but denies him permission, as she must accompany him at all times to suppress his curse. She then explains to her grandmother that the way her psychosis works is by latching onto auras visible to her, and confesses that she was stronger when her powers first emerged. Her grandmother then advises Momo to close her eyes and use her sense of touch to control Okarun's curse rather than her sense of sight. Momo attempts to do so as she is instructed but fails when Turbo Granny's curse begins to possess Okarun. Unable to wait any longer, Okarun dashes to the bathroom with Momo and her grandmother in pursuit. As she suppresses the curse with the door open, much to Okarun's embarrassment, Momo learns from the grandmother that the full potential of her psychic powers remains untapped and that she requires training to gradually harness it again. Suddenly, Momo sees her grandmother's nose bleeding and is horrified to discover Turbo Granny in the bathroom. Turbo Granny, speaking through Okarun, explains that her curse is capable of killing anyone Okarun has laid eyes on and challenges Momo to confront her in the tunnel tonight, or she'll start killing indiscriminately, as she refuses to have her train for her defeat. Momo becomes able to speak with her grandmother and Okarun again. Noticing her bleeding nose and ears and the burnt talisman on the wall, Momo's grandmother inquires to Momo about the events that transpired. Before the departure for the tunnel, Momo's grandmother presents Momo and Okarun with garments designed to shield them from evil spirits and implores Momo to come back safely, holding her in a tight embrace and later praying to the gods to watch over the two. On the train ride to the tunnel, Momo seethes with anger towards Turbo Granny for previously harming her grandmother and vows retribution, while Okarun hides his face with his hands, embarrassed most likely because of the fact that they're in public with such unusual outfits. Momo and Okarun hesitantly enter Turbo Granny's tunnel, strategizing their approach to confront their evil spirit. Momo expresses confidence that this battle will be less challenging compared to their previous encounter with the Flatwoods Monster. However, they are taken aback to find a gigantic head of Turbo Granny obstructing both the entrance and exit of the tunnel. Momo attempts to attack the evil spirit using bats she controls with her psychic powers, only to witness Turbo Granny effortlessly destroy them with her mouth-like eyes. Momo urges Okarun to utilize Turbo Granny's power, yet Turbo Granny retaliates by returning Okarun's genitals, rendering him powerless. As she prepares to consume them from both sides, Momo recalls her grandmother's instruction to dare Turbo Granny to a game of tag to exploit her confidence in her speed. After declaring her challenge, Turbo Granny, feeling underestimated, halts her attack and accepts. The two quickly attempt to flee as Turbo Granny begins counting to 10 minutes to give them a head start. However, Momo is captured before she and Okarun could make it out of the tunnel, as Turbo Granny starts counting in an unusual manner up to 10. Okarun becomes angered by this and protests, accusing Turbo Granny of cheating. However, the evil spirit states her loophole in that the terms of the challenge didn't require to count normally. As panic sets in for Okarun, Turbo Granny completes her countdown of his 10 minutes. Lacking a solid plan to rescue Momo, Okarun resorts to biting Turbo Granny's breasts. In a flurry of panic and irritation, Turbo Granny struggles to dislodge him due to his choice of clothing and ultimately decides to fully possess him. She then prepares to devour Momo. However, recalling her grandmother's lesson on harnessing her sense of touch, Momo constricts Turbo Granny's aura until she is entirely contained with Okarun and is freed after Turbo Granny destroys her confinement in an attempt to stop her. As they celebrate their victory over Turbo Granny, they are alarmed to see the earthbound spirit revealing itself to save Turbo Granny and immediately rush out of the tunnel. Momo and Okarun flee for their lives from the earthbound spirit crab. Okarun, empowered by the Turbo Granny spirit in his cursed form, carries Momo on his back, attempting to outpace the spirit through the town, visibly only to them and not to the public. As Okarun reaches his running limit, Momo devises a plan and directs him to lure the earthbound spirit crab into a hot spring. Aware that the muscles of a crab will tighten from being exposed to boiling water, Momo uses her psychic power to pull down a pipe with hot water towards the earthbound spirit spirit crab, effectively slowing it down, allowing them a chance to flee Shono City. Yet they are soon cornered by the citizens under possession, summoned by Turbo Granny and the earthbound spirit crab, who have enlisted spirits from nearby cemeteries to ensnare Momo and Okarun. Turbo Granny declares to the prayer that she and the earthbound spirit will prevent their departure from Shono City no matter what. Trapped with no escape from the horde of possessed humans, Okarun uses Turbo Granny's powers to swiftly carry Momo through the masses. The velocity of their escape causes both to suffer, and inadvertently, Momo releases Turbo Granny within Okarun. A forceful kick sends him flying, rendering Okarun unconscious, to which Turbo Granny then emerges with the earthbound spirit crab, preparing for a game of cat and mouse with Momo. Despite Turbo Granny's offer to give her a few minutes to start running, Momo retorts that she only needs a second to escape, as she uses her psychokinesis to latch onto the roof of a passing train. Turbo Granny chases after the train and manages to catch up from the train, reducing its full speed from making a turn. However, she soon realizes that she's been duped into following Momo, who discloses that her grandmother has laid a trap on the railway leading to Kamikoshi City. Unable to escape due to Momo using her psychokinesis to detain her, the Turbo Granny infused earthbound spirit crab becomes exorcised after reaching the trap. In the midst of the exorcism, Momo witnesses various schoolgirls emerging from the earthbound spirit crab. Following Turbo Granny's defeat, Momo, Okarun, and her grandmother return to the tunnel to honor the spirits. There, Momo's grandmother reveals the tunnel's dark past as a murder site of young girls, and explains that the Turbo Granny had come to confront the spirits who couldn't move on to the afterlife. Before departing, she imparts to Momo the principles of coexistence between the living and the dead, expressing relief that Momo remained unharmed. At the house, Okarun joins Momo and her grandmother for dinner, watching them fight over the crab they're having, and becomes prompted to keep his distance from Momo's grandmother after she insists on seeing if his genitals have really returned to him. Momo and Okarun then say their goodbyes as the latter prepares to head home on his bike. However, she reflects on whether goodbye was the right word to choose, a sentiment Okarun shares as he approaches the Torii Gate. Momo alters her parting words to Okarun, assuring him that she will meet him again tomorrow, which brings him considerable comfort. The following day at school, Okarun ponders how to greet Momo upon seeing her again. To his surprise, he finds Momo waiting outside by the entrance and assumes she is waiting for someone else. However, Momo walks up to him and inquires why he took so long to meet her. After a pleasant conversation about aliens, Momo and Okarun head to their respective classes. Okarun, happy to have made a friend, overlooks the harassment he faces by his classmates, while Momo becomes preoccupied with her thoughts, barely noticing her friends attempting to reach her, which leads to them assuming that Momo has gotten back with her old boyfriend. Both eagerly anticipating their next conversation during class, the two set out to find each other as the lunch break commences. Unfortunately, their search is fruitless as the unknown pass by each other, unaware that the person they are seeking is just on the opposite side. Momo and Okarun, seated outside on a bench, begin to suspect that the other is deliberately avoiding them because of a misinterpreted error they committed earlier. As they walk giving up their search, they accidentally bump into each other. Their teeth clashing unexpectedly, Momo and Okarun reassure one another that they are both attempting to find each other, dismissing any notion of avoidance. However, their bumping into each other catches the attention of Momo's friends. This then leads to a heated exchange of words that destroys their budding friendship after denying they're in a relationship. Okarun, disheartened, retreats to the bathroom, contemplating an apology. Okarun then looks down in shock to realize that although he has regained his genitalia, his testicles are the only things that are missing from his crotch. In class, Momo is visibly annoyed, becomes the focus after her peers discover her recent encounter with Okarun. The situation deteriorates when Okarun seeks her out, making a strange hand gesture below his waist. Momo, not in the mood for a conversation, requests Okarun to leave. Misinterpreting this, Okarun assumes Momo is ashamed to be seen with him and leaves dejected. One of Momo's friends then expresses shock at her uncharacteristic reaction if Okarun was truly her friend. Towards the end of the school day, Okarun accidentally bumps into a female student named Aira, and becomes taken aback when she speaks to him in a friendly manner. While walking, regretting her earlier behavior, Momo notices Okarun with Aira and overheats her boasting to her friends about manipulating Okarun's feelings with her kindness. Frustrated by Aira's actions, Momo employs her psychic power to have a basin fall on Aira's head, leaving her friends bewildered about the cause. Momo then reunites with Okarun, cheerfully suggests they walk home together, and retorts at Aira. On their way home, Momo expresses regret to Okarun for her earlier behavior, which he forgives, but he swiftly changes the subject of his own predicament of missing his balls. While Momo laughs at Okarun's predicament, Psycho berates Okarun for not allowing her to check to see if he was back to normal yesterday. After doing a quick inspection on his soul, Psycho instructs Momo to grab a doll and a wash bowl full of water after she finds out that something is inside of Okarun. After acquiring the wash bowl and a manake neko, Sayako smacks Okarun on the head with a harisen, which prompts her to reference Kinpachi, and inquires if Momo noticed any changes at the moment. Momo informs her that she saw the color of Okarun's aura change and is then instructed by Seiko to extract the aura when it changes colors again. Upon doing so, they are astonished to see that the manake neko doll spring to life and dash out of the room. Momo uses her psychic power to sense its aura and restrain the doll, which shows annoyance as it demands to be released. Momo and Okarun are informed by Seiko that the doll is actually Turbo Granny, who discloses that she avoided exorcism by entering Okarun at the last second. Turbo Granny declares her intent to seek revenge once her powers return, prompting Momo to scold the yokai for not realizing that she is currently powerless against them. With this acknowledgement, Okarun confronts Turbo Granny, demanding the return of his possessions and brandishing a talisman as a threat. Turbo Granny warns Okarun against threatening her life, as it would result in him never regaining his balls. A realization that dawns on both Okarun and Momo. Subsequently, Turbo Granny demands for Okarun to kill Momo and Psycho in exchange for having the balls returned. Upon hearing this, Okarun transforms into Turbo Granny form. Fueled by rage, Seiko discloses that although Turbo Granny's consciousness was ejected from Okarun's body, her power lingered within him because of her reluctance to be free. Much to Turbo Granny's shock, this then results to Seiko frankly striking Turbo Granny with her harisen. Despite this enmity, Momo confesses to Turbo Granny that she cannot bring herself to hate her after discovering her past benevolence towards the girls who died in the tunnel, and proposes a bargain. She will give her power back if she insists them in locating Okarun's balls. Turbo Granny accepts the offer but regrettably informs them that she has lost his balls. Momo and Okarun set out to find the latter's missing balls that, as Turbo Granny claims, are enveloped in a golden layer of her spiritual energy. Having not found them, Turbo Granny speculates that they have been captured by a spirit or yokai, lured by their strong life force. She then expresses indifference to their location, which greatly irritates Momo and Okarun as they stomp on her in frustration. Upon reporting back, Seiko offers assistance by gathering intel and cautions Okarun to control Turbo Granny's powers within him. The following day at school, Okarun is met by a male classmate requesting him to introduce him to Momo, since he is well acquainted with her. Upon hearing him remark on Momo's cuteness, Okarun comes to realize this factor about her but tries to suppress these thoughts, seeing her only as a friend. He then learns from a classmate that a nasty rumor about Momo has been spread around school, prompting him to grab the classmate's shirt, demanding to know the culprit behind this. As a result of his anger, Okarun inadvertently triggers Turbo Granny's power, frightening the classmate. Upon realizing what is happening, Okarun calms down and offers an apology and proceeds to sit at his seat. Turbo Granny then shows herself to Okarun, revealing that she has been hiding in his bag the whole time, and reacts with glee after seeing him unleash her power in public. Not wanting anyone to see her, Okarun dashes out of the classroom to speak to her alone in the hallway and hears her attempt to coax him into restoring her power, which he resists. Turbo Granny then returns, hiding outside Okarun's bag after Momo appears. Okarun prepares to tell Momo about Turbo Granny, however, he becomes unable to meet her gaze once he begins to perceive her as cute based off what his classmate told him. Consequently, Momo chases after him as he increasingly distances himself, causing her both irritation and confusion. This then gives Turbo Granny the opportunity to roam around the school. Later, Momo goes back to class, wondering why Okarun is trying to avoid her, and learns from one of her friends that Okarun stood up for her when another student brought up the nasty rumor about her. Despite being informed about this, Momo fails to understand why he's still trying to avoid her. Striding through the hallways, Aira flaunts her beauty to the admiring glances of her classmates. While doing so, she ponders her view of Momo as a demon, an opinion shaped by Momo's psychic powers at the time when she dropped a wash tub on her head, and feels a twinge of disappointment that the malicious rumors she had spread about Momo seems to be ineffective. While clutching one of Okarun's kintama, which she discovered the previous day, she holds onto the belief that it is a sign of her destiny to save the world. Aira discovers one of Okarun's kintama after it falls on her head and sees a stream of light along the railway, leading to her claiming the golden ball and her assumed role as savior. In the present, Aira's friends delivers the items she had requested for her world-saving mission, a Bible and a cross. After one of Aira's friends expresses how strange Aira has been acting, Aira alerts them about a mysterious red-clad woman outside the school. Aira, upon learning from her friends that they had seen nothing outside, deduces that the entity must be something that Momo is familiar with. Sent to observe them, as she attempts to hide from the woman, Aira is deemed suspicious by two boys and tries to cover up her behavior with her false personality. At the same time, she signals her friends to meet after school. Atop the school roof, Momo demands for Okarun to look at her. As an excuse, Okarun tells her that he is monitoring Turbo Granny while she eats lunch in case she leaves his sight, to which the talking cat doll becomes confident that he can't stop her. Momo then questions why Turbo Granny is here with them at school and ends up instigating a fight with her after claiming that she has a right to order her after winning in the previous battle. Turbo Granny informs that she has been searching around the school for the kintama, thinking that there is a possibility that a human had found it instead of a yokai, which could potentially potentially lead to them gaining the ability to perceive spirits and becoming a target for them. Turbo Granny also mentions a strange woman, but chooses to divulge more about this piece of information after school. Aira contemplates whether she can manage a confrontation with Momo. Peering outside, she notices the woman in red approaching. Later in the corridors, Momo is approached by Aira, who she remembers as the girl she dropped the wash tub on the day before. Requesting a private meeting, Momo consents to discuss matters in a different location, wishing to avoid complications, and informs Okarun that they will reconvene later. After she leaves, Okarun is alerted by Turbo Granny in his backpack about the mysterious woman she had previously seen. Following Aira into a deserted building, she is suddenly ambushed by two of her friends who handcuff and restrain her. Aira then tries to perform an exorcism on her using the cross and the Bible. Frustrated, Momo employs her psychic abilities to push Aira's friends off her, as Aira, witnessing Momo's demon wings again, takes out the Kintama to assist her in her exorcism. Momo realizes Aira possesses one of Okarun's Kintama. She attempts to clarify its significance but fails to persuade her. Spotting Okarun rushing in with concern, Momo alerts him that Aira is holding one of his Kintama and identifies her as the mysterious woman. Okarun, however, clarifies that Aira is actually the target of the mysterious woman, who then appears to seize Aira away from Momo. After seizing Aira, the enigmatic woman proclaims herself to be her mother. Okarun attempts to rescue Aira by using Turbo Granny's power, however, the woman presents this as she evades his rush attacks with her acrobatic movements. Seeing Okarun facing the threat of being devoured by the woman, Momo tries to use her psychic power to pull him out of her mouth. The woman then repels Momo with a kick and ingests Okarun whole. The woman reveals to Aira that she has been waiting over 10 years for a reunion since their last encounter when Aira was young and recognized her as her mother. Regaining her footing, Momo demands for the woman to return Okarun and is compelled to remind her of the rules governing interactions between yokai and humans. Meanwhile, she becomes confused by Aira's outbursts about joining forces to defeat the demon. It is then that Turbo Granny informs her, based off the information she searched for Moko's phone that she stole, that the enemy is named Acrobatic Silky, a yokai in a red dress famed for her agility. Upon being offended by Aira calling her out as a monster, Acrobatic Silky swallows the girl and unjustly holds Momo accountable for Aira's actions. Momo seeks assistance from Turbo Granny, only to learn that the doll is powerless due to her power stolen. Acrobatic Silky then seizes Momo by the neck with her hair, violently swinging around the room until she demands she call her mother to apologize. Momo, however, defies Acrobatic Silky's demand and is also ingested. Acrobatic Silky then cries, wondering where her baby is. Turbo Granny confronts Acrobatic Silky, warning her to release the children or face repercussions, explaining that her being a Maneki Neko doll meant that she can grant good fortune on others. True to Turbo Granny's foresight, Momo ignites Acrobatic Silky's hair, which had ingested along with her, using Aira's lighter Rosori, compelling the yokai to expel the children out. With both of them out, Momo and Okarun gear up for a strike on Acrobatic Silky. Acrobatic Silky pursues Momo and Okarun as they attempt to keep an unconscious Aira out of her reach. Despite the crowded building, Okarun, in his Turbo Granny form, is directed by Momo to persist in carrying Aira, luring Acrobatic Silky in pursuit with a plan in mind. After overpowering Momo, Acrobatic Silky chases Okarun and nearly separates him from Aira. However, Acrobatic Silky's attempt to seize Aira is thwarted when her damaged hair becomes entangled in the building's beams. Aligning with Momo's strategy, as she struggles to escape, Momo seizes her legs with her psychic powers and urges Okarun to attack Acrobatic Silky using Turbo Granny's power. Catching him off guard as he lacks a prepared attack, eventually Okarun capitalizes on his speed to charge at Acrobatic Silky, taking her down after she is sent crashing back. Victorious, Momo and Okarun recover the Kintama from Aira but are informed by Turbo Granny that Aira is dead. After checking her pulse, Okarun confirms that Turbo Granny was correct. Aira is indeed dead, having been previously consumed by a yokai. Despite Turbo Granny's assertion that it was too late, Momo and Okarun desperately attempt to resuscitate her by massaging her heart, administering CPR, and having Turbo Granny call an ambulance. On guard after witnessing Acrobatic Silky rise, they're taken aback by when the yokai offers to help save Aira by transferring her own aura into the girl. Momo expresses skepticism about Acrobatic Silky's intentions, prompting the yokai to tear out her own mouth as a vow to not harm Aira again. Still wary, Momo instructs Okarun to remain vigilant in his Turbo Granny form, while she tentatively agrees to Acrobatic Silky's plan to transfer her aura into Aira using her psychic powers. Momo glimpses into Acrobatic Silky's tragic past when she was alive as a mother who ultimately took her life after being separated from her child. In a crowd while grappling with forgotten memories, the mother encounters a young girl, Aira, who mistakenly believes she is her mother. After Aira goes back to her father, being reminded by him that her mother is no longer with them and that she must stay strong, Acrobatic Silky starts to think that she was Aira's mother in a past life, and feels compelled to protect, resulting in her transformation into a yokai. Witnessing Acrobatic Silky's history, Momo cries, leading Okarun to suspect foul play and prepares to confront Acrobatic Silky. Momo, however, urges Okarun not to attack, revealing that Aira has miraculously returned to life. As the revival succeeds, Acrobatic Silky expresses remorse to Aira and begins to disintegrate. Turbo Granny reveals to Momo that Acrobatic Silky, haunted by regrets and without her aura, is doomed to be forgotten instead of passing on. Amidst this strategy, Acrobatic Silky recalls her own child and laments her failings as a mother. Wishing for Acrobatic Silky to pass over to the afterlife, Aira embraces her, calls her mother, and professes her love, resulting in the yokai successfully achieving nirvana. Aira then expresses a wish for Acrobatic Silky and her child to find a better place beyond. After the conflict with Acrobatic Silky is concluded, Aira dines with Momo, Okarun, Seiko, and Turbo Granny at the Ayase house. Momo, realizing that Aira is hostile towards her after having dropped a basin on her during their first encounter, admits to having gone too far and apologizes to her. However, she demands that Aira also apologize to Okarun for making fun of him at the time. Aira responds by stating that she does not harbor a grudge against Momo for this action. She perceives Momo as a demon and her enemy who she must defeat. This prompts a heated argument in which Momo asserts that she is not a demon. Aira then shifts her focus to Okarun and Seiko, claiming that the boy's transformation into Turbo Granny and the grandmother's youthfulness and beautiful appearance serves as evidence supporting her belief that Momo and the others are indeed demons. The two girls continue their argument, with Aira warning Momo that she will eventually confront her again. Momo retorts that she accepts Aira's challenge. Before departing, Aira inquires of Okarun why he chose to save her despite being a demon. Okarun replies that it's natural for a person to help others, which surprises Aira as she assumes that he still has some humanity. She then tells him that she will come to liberate him from Momo's influence and blushes as she exits, shocking Momo in the process. Later, Okarun joyfully has his ball returned to its proper place in a game of baseball between Turbo Granny and Seiko. The following day at school, Momo suggests to Okarun to convene on the rooftop to discuss the whereabouts of his other ball. However, Okarun informs her that he prefers to utilize that time as well as after to complete a report. After complying to have him be in by himself, Momo opts to spend lunch with Miko and Muko, but starts to suspect that Okarun was concealing something from her. Miko contemplates that it might pertain to a girl. Though she denies this, Momo's thoughts drift towards Aira after yesterday. While going out to get a few drinks for herself and Miko, Momo begins to wonder why she's feeling uneasy and contemplates checking on Okarun. In an unforeseen turn of events at the courtyard, Momo is taken aback to notice Okarun on top of Aira. While outside the school, Okarun trains privately as Seiko instructed him to prepare himself for his and Momo's next encounter with another paranormal enemy. Unexpectedly, he receives a visit from Aira, who tries to confess her feelings for him by giving him a kiss. Okarun backs away in shock and asks Aira why she thought it would be appropriate to do this, to which she responds that she's currently being guided by books that belongs to her father's. As the romantically inexperienced Aira attempts to express her feelings again, Okarun tries to block her advances and accidentally falls on top of her. Okarun is then shocked to see Momo observing the two in a misunderstood situation. After Momo expresses her disappointment and storms off back to class, Okarun pursues her to clarify what happened, only for Momo to refuse to listen to him after he had lied, wanting to finish a report. Later, during a class lesson about the mantis shrimp, Momo struggles to overcome the earlier incident, which shows as Miko and Muko believe that she's being possessed by the spirit of the mantis shrimp. Meanwhile, Okarun hopes to reconcile with Momo later. Okarun then becomes astonished to find the floor flooded with water and his classroom mysteriously empty. Upon leaving the halls, he encounters Aira, who believes that Momo had created this mysterious setting. Okarun informs her that he has been in this environment. Meanwhile, Momo realizes that she cannot open the windows to escape and wonders if Okarun is experiencing the same predicament. A wonder that quickly turns into frustration as she thinks about him. She then hears a noise approaching and looks to see a snake-like creature in the distance. Momo hides from the creature but inadvertently creates a ripple in the water, prompting it to unleash a blast from its mouth that destroys the classroom she is in. Fortunately for Momo, she evades the attack and wonders about Okarun's whereabouts after the creature departs. Simultaneously, Okarun and Aira are startled by the noise, recalling a similar encounter where he and Momo confronted the Flatwoods Monster. Okarun explains to Aira that their sole means of escape is to defeat the alien who has appeared at school. They are soon confronted by a crab-headed alien that launches an assault. Okarun transforms into Turbo Granny form, swiftly pulling Aira out of harm's way and directs her to relocate as he engages the alien. However, Okarun is overpowered by psychokinesis and reverts to his normal form after the Serpo's approach. After deflecting Aira to prevent her interference, who they wonder how she is able to enter the void, the Serpos inform Okarun that they have come for his reproductive organs to acquire his supernatural power he last demonstrated to them. Okarun explains to them that the power they witnessed was a curse at the time and finds himself unable to enter Turbo Granny form. As the Serpos bring out a pair of giant scissors to get ready and extract his banana organ, Aira enters a form resembling Acrobatic Silky and rescues Okarun by manipulating her hair to strike back at the Serpos. Having done so, Aira expresses how she is indeed the chosen one and demands for the Serpos to release Okarun. Following the attack on the Serpos from Okarun, Aira inquires about his well-being but becomes embarrassed to look at him in the nude, interpreting this as an indication that he wishes to advance their relationship to a deeper level. A Serpo realizes that Aira possesses superhuman abilities similar to Okarun, explaining her capacity to enter dimensional space, and orders the crab-headed alien to engage Aira in close combat while he attacks from a distance using his psychic. Aira successfully dodges all the punches thrown at her by the crab-headed alien, kicks him into the ceiling where his head becomes lodged, and prepares to confront the Serpo. However, the alien utilizes his psychic powers to pin Aira against the wall and expresses delight at discovering more than one human with superhuman capabilities to harvest. After freeing his head, the crab-headed alien delivers a powerful punch to Aira, propelling her through a classroom. Okarun intervenes to protect Aira from the Serpos, but once again is substituted by the alien's awesome zone that negates yokai powers. The crab-headed alien then begins to assault Okarun while he is down. However, Okarun manages to propel himself at the alien after Momo arrives to counter the Serpo's psychokinesis. While the aliens react in shock to have the misfortune of reuniting with her, Momo berates Okarun for being involved with Aira and makes a remark to once again see the faces of her former enemies. With Momo present, the Serpos express disappointment that the subordinate creature that they brought along failed to accomplish its mission to eliminate her. While Okarun is pleased to see Momo again, she instructs him not to look at her while he is still lacking clothes. Although she is displeased that Momo was the one to save her, Aira requests that she fight alongside her to defeat the Serpos. Momo then reacts in shock upon seeing Aira appear as Acrobatic Silky. While expressing her willingness to cooperate with Momo, Aira asserts her refusal to relinquish Ken. As a result of hearing Okarun's real name, Momo falls back flustered and accidentally seizes her psychokinesis, causing Okarun and Aira to succumb to the Serpo's psychokinesis once again. With the two yokai powers wielders once again succumbing to their psychokinesis, the Serpo seizes this opportunity to compel their crab-headed subordinate to fight for them by administering a performing boosting serum, which, to his disapproval, in his enhanced mantis shrimp-like form, the crab-headed alien assaults Okarun and Aira with shockwave punches while they are unable to move. However, Momo soon manages to regain her composure, prompted to demand Aira not to say Okarun's full name while in her presence, and uses her psychic power to counter the Serpos. The Serpo subsequently instructs the crab alien to focus on Momo. Nevertheless, Okarun and Aira transform to combat the crab alien, successfully gaining the upper hand as Okarun skillfully maneuvers Aira out of the path of the crab alien's fast punches, allowing her to strike at its weak points. Although they collaborate effectively, Momo cautions them against fighting too closely to avoid becoming easier. Aira misconstrues this criticism as jealousy on Momo's part, which Momo refutes, while Okarun acknowledges the soundness of Momo's advice but inadvertently causes her to lose focus on her psychokinesis after making a comment reminiscent of Kentakakura. In the interim, the crab alien expresses disappointment upon learning the Serpos intend to penalize him for his subpar in battle by reducing his pay. The conflict between the two opposing sides is then interrupted after the water beneath their feet suddenly rises and floods the void space. After reaching up to the surface along with Okarun, and Aira and Momo discovers that the walls and ceilings have also turned into water and looks up in dismay to see the creature that she previously encountered is swimming above them. Upon recognizing the creature above as Nessie, Momo and Okarun swiftly swim away after it's assaulted a Serpo. Beneath them, the enhanced crab alien unleashes a underwater shockwave punch at Aira, propelling her towards the watery ceiling, threatening to drown her. The enhanced crab alien soon reveals to Momo and Okarun that he lacks gills and leading him to struggle for air as he begins to drown. Seizing the moment for a counterattack, Okarun transforms into Turbogranny form, intending to utilize his enhanced leg strength to attack, but quickly discovers that Turbogranny's power does not allow him to swim after he finds himself sinking. After reverting to his original form, both he and Momo continue to evade the enhanced crab alien's assaults. Okarun informs Momo that he will distract the alien while he assists Aira. Momo finds this plan troublesome and engages in an argument with Okarun, which involves the incident he had with Aira at school. Sensing her distress over the matter, despite her claiming that it did not bother her, Okarun suggests to Momo to be honest that the incident did bother her and give him a chance to later clarify what truly transpired, as he expresses that she is the only person who he does not want to misunderstand. He then dives down to protect Momo from an incoming underwater shockwave punch from the enhanced crab alien. This prompts Momo to conceive a plan to utilize her powers on Okarun, transforming him into a living speedboat to maneuver in the water. While riding on him, Momo propels Okarun upwards to reach Aira and employs her powers to expel the water from Aira's lungs, allowing her to breathe again. Noticing that the added water resistance from their clothing hampers their movement, Momo decides to strip down to her underwear and urges Aira to do the same despite her reluctancy. While below, the enhanced crab alien observes a Serpo swimming nearby and requests additional time to pursue them. However, he is astonished to discover that it is merely a severed head after being killed by Nessie. A Serpo then approaches the enhanced crab alien intending to utilize his body cables to fuse with both him and Nessie. As Momo and Okarun Okarun, and Aira prepare to dive once more to confront their enemies, the trio suddenly gazes downward to behold the Serpo Dover demon Nessie, and make a hasty retreat as it begins to unleash water blasts from its mouth. Once the onslaught of water concludes, they notice that the creature absorbing water through its gills, signifying its need to recharge before it can continue its offense. Aira, employing her acrobatic silky hair, maneuvers herself towards the Serpo Dover demon Nessie to execute a flying kick. However, the creature successfully blocks her attack with a punch and responds with a barrage of shockwave punches, explaining that it excels in close combat due to crab alien arms it possesses. After Momo and Okarun recover Aira, the three are left with grappling with how to confront the Serpo Dover demon Nessie until Momo manages to formulate a plan after Okarun's remark about the creature's mantis shrimp arms. Unfortunately, they are soon scattered by one of the shockwave punches. Considering Momo to be the most formidable opponent, the Serpo Dover demon Nessie prepares to deliver a fatal blow after exhausting its water blasts. As he readies to strike, Momo uses her power to bring the water down, causing the creature's mantis shrimp arms to tear apart, as Momo explains that they are unable to endure the force when removed from the water. In response, the Serpo Dover demon Nessie attempts to ensnare Momo with its teeth and plunges into depths to generate another water blast intended to cleave Momo in two. However, Aira uses her acrobatic silky hair to intervene, seizing the Serpo Dover demon Nessie by the neck, leading to his defeat as Okarun utilizes her hair as a track to prepare himself, ultimately splitting the fused creature while simultaneously catching Momo in his embrace. Following the defeat of the Serpo Dover demon Nessie, Momo and Okarun successfully exit the void space and are initially relieved to find themselves on solid ground. However, this sense of relief swiftly transforms into embarrassment as they discover they're in the school hallway, exposed in their underwear, prompting both of them along with Aira to flee in a state of panic. Momo, Okarun, and Aira are questioned by Queen regarding whether their exposure in their underwear is constituted as an act of bullying. Shortly thereafter, they are left alone when a staff member informs the nurse of an incoming phone call. After a brief period of distress over the public embarrassment, Momo discovers from Aira that she inadvertently activated Acrobatic Silky's powers during the altercation with the Serpos, attributing this to her connection with the yokai's aura. Okarun speculates that this connection may render her a target for extraterrestrial beings who might be interested in humans possessing yokai abilities like himself and Aira, potentially in a pursuit of technological advancement which he believes may relate to his missing Kintama. Despite presenting his theory, Momo and Aira fail to follow along. More concerned about their previous embarrassment, Momo hears Aira intending to pin the blame on her, to which Momo complies to have her do to avoid the hassle of creating additional excuses. Aira then leaves with her friends after they come to pick her up. With the two now by themselves, Momo demands for Okarun to provide her with an explanation regarding the incident involving Aira during lunch. Okarun shares with Momo that he fell on Aira after attempting to push her away during her efforts to kiss him. Momo then questions why they were in a private location, to which Okarun explains that he was exercising to become stronger and preferred to keep this from her to appear more impressive. Momo finds his explanation amusing and playfully urges him to elaborate on his desire to be perceived as cool by her. Overcome with embarrassment, Okarun prepares to leave, assuring Momo that he will not blame her for the incident like Aira. Just before he departs, Momo eagerly seeks to respond back to him. Before Momo could articulate her thoughts to Okarun, she is interrupted by the arrival of her friends Miko and Muko, who had heard about the incident and sought an explanation. Momo decided against providing specifics, leading Miko to predict that Momo had a disagreement with Aira over Okarun while in their underwear, suggesting Momo firmly denies. In class duty, Aira receives comfort from her peers as she feigns innocence, relishing the fact that the circumstances are favoring her. However, her contentment diminishes upon overhearing her classmates disparaging Momo, whom they accuse of harassing Aira, using the rumors as justification for labeling her as a terrible person. Overcome with guilt, Aira admits to her classmates that she fabricated the lies about Momo and pleads with them to cease their negative remarks. This confession prompts Aira to exit the classroom, leaving her classmates in a state of astonishment. While sulking over her confession outside the school, Aira is approached by Momo, who questions whether Aira has followed through with her plan to attribute the incident to her. Aira admits to doing so, yet Momo detects her falsehood, having observed Aira's isolation, which frustrates Aira. The two then face the Dover demon, who speaks of his need to support his family. Momo and Aira prepare to defend themselves, but soon see the Dover demon fall to the ground, exhausted from bleeding a white fluid from his body. Following a dream about his son, the Dover demon awakens himself in the Ayase household, where he is being observed by Momo, Okarun, Seiko, and Aira. Momo informs her grandmother that the presence of the Dover demon serves as evidence of extraterrestrial life, only to be met with her grandmother's skepticism, who mistakenly identifies the creature as a kappa. After providing care for him, Aira inquires about their next steps, expressing concern that he might attempt to deceive once more. The Dover demon then puts the group on guard after he moves from his bed, prompting Momo to advise him not to get any bright ideas since Seiko is there to offer support. The Dover demon then looks down to notice a plate of curry and is told by Momo that they prepared the dish for him, despite their uncertainty regarding his dietary preferences. Overwhelmed by their kindness and medical attention he received, the Dover demon succumbs to tears and vows that he will never pose a threat to them again. Following a dinner with Momo, Okarun, Seiko, Aira, and Turbo Granny, the Dover demon shares his predicament regarding the need to secure funds for his ailing son's blood transfusion, which has led him to engage in activities as an outlaw. In a gesture of support, Okarun offers to sell his kintama to assist the Dover demon. Momo interjects, explaining that this solution would not adequately address the ongoing financial demands of his son's daily transfusions. Nevertheless, Okarun insists in his desire to help. Aira expresses her backing by assuring Okarun that she will retrieve the kintama once it's sold, only for Momo to advise her to refrain from getting involved. Despite Okarun's generous offer, the Dover demon declines, stating that he does not wish to burden Okarun or his companions further and prepares to depart. Seiko, however, halts him to recognize the scent of his blood and subsequently offers him a carton of milk. The Dover demon acknowledges that milk is equivalent to blood of his kind, prompting Seiko to propose asking a farmer for a cow for the Dover demon to take home to his son. As he boards his ship with the cow being brought up, the Dover demon expresses his gratitude to the group for their assistance, acknowledging his indebtedness to them. Shortly thereafter, Momo gets down on her knees with Okarun and Aira to implore Seiko to purchase new uniforms for them. While Seiko agrees to buy uniforms for Okarun and Aira at no cost, she informs Momo that she will only procure hers if she performs an impression of Hiroshi Abe. Having perceived Momo's intentions to take advantage of adults' financial resources, Momo agrees to her grandmother's request and is compelled to greet a visitor at the door while doing the impression. Upon opening the door, Momo is taken aback to find Gigi, her childhood friend and her first crush, which Okarun learns about in astonishment from Seiko. Upon seeing Gigi again, Momo is filled with surprise while Okarun notes that the young man's appearance, which he believes conveys a sense of toughness. Nevertheless, he, along with Momo and Aira, finds Gigi's sudden surge of energy in reaction to Momo's expression at the door to be rather unassuming. After Seiko invites Gigi to make himself comfortable in her home, Momo is taken aback to learn from her grandmother that Gigi will be staying with them. This news also catches Okarun off guard, while Aira misinterprets Gigi's move-in as a signal that Momo is gathering forces for a significant battle, leading her to leave the house with a vow to stop Momo. Much to Momo's frustration in having to deal with Aira and Gigi, Okarun gets ready to leave, but first complies with Momo's request to inform her that he will see her the next day, mirroring her previous statement, which stirs emotions in both of them. Momo seeks clarification from Seiko regarding Gigi's moving in with them. Seiko reiterates that the situation arises from Gigi's parents being hospitalized, as she feels pleased by the compliments he shares with her during their meal. While they wash dishes, Gigi expresses regret for having teased Momo during their childhood and reveals that he has developed the ability to see spirits. Momo is taken aback by this revelation and inquires if he has encountered a golden ball. However, after causing him confusion, she decides to retract her question. Gigi then recounts his experience about being tormented by an evil spirit in his home, explaining that the exorcist hired to help him following his parents' illnesses all tragically took their own lives. This led him to Seiko's assistance, as the exorcist had indicated that she would be his final hope. Gigi then apologizes for his past ridicule and for involving Momo in his troubles. Momo reassures him of her belief in her grandmother's ability to vanquish the evil spirit. Nevertheless, Seiko informs Momo that she will be the one to confront this challenge, as her powers are effective only within Kamigoe City, and suggests that Gigi's ability to see spirits may be connected to Okarun's kintama. She also offers to purchase new uniforms for Momo if she agrees to undertake this task. Following his transfer to Momo's school, Gigi introduces himself to his new classmates, which quickly escalates to flirtation with a female peer. He's subsequently seated next to Momo, who attempts to disregard his presence, alongside with Miko and Muko, with whom Gigi becomes acquainted with. Momo's friends learn from Gigi that he lives with her and unnecessarily embellishes their relationship as being affectionate, much to Momo's irritation, prompting her to strangle him. Meanwhile, Okarun is troubled by the prospect of Momo severing ties with him should she develop a romantic relationship with Gigi, given that he is her first love. To distract himself, he secretly trains during lunch. His concentration is disrupted when Momo unexpectedly joins him for lunch, aiming to prevent a reoccurrence of his previous incident with Aira. While Okarun is engaged in weightlifting, Momo offers to feed him, leaving him astonished. Just as he is about to accept her offer, Gigi interrupts by presenting Momo with her favorite yogurt, which brings her joy. Overwhelmed by the sight of Momo enjoying herself with Gigi, Okarun walks way, internally deciding to distance himself from Momo from now on. He then notices an anatomical model rushing towards him and shouts a warning to Momo about its approach. Startled, Momo prepares to use her powers to intervene but is pulled out of harm's way by Gigi. As the astronomical model leaps over them, Momo spots a shiny object attached to it, believing to be Okarun's Kintama. She attempts to stop the anatomical model and is pulled away by its running velocity along with Gigi, prompting Okarun to chase after them in an effort to rescue Momo. Okarun transforms into his Turbo Granny form in an effort to catch up with Momo and Gigi, with the former struggling to maintain control over the fleeing anatomical model. The anatomical model, however, creates a significant gap by transversing the rooftops. Momo attempts to use her psychic abilities to seize Okarun, but inadvertently propels herself and Gigi towards an oncoming bus. Just in time, Okarun comes in to rescue the two and has them ride on his back. While they are in this position, Momo reveals to Gigi that this creature he believes has captured them is in fact Okarun in his transformed state, which leaves him astonished. Together, Okarun and Gigi assist Momo in her efforts to pull in the anatomical doll in a bid to escape the anatomical model as it disassembles itself and successfully eludes capture. Nevertheless, after leaving behind its heart, Momo was able to locate it by following its cries of anguish from her striking its heart. The trio eventually discovers the anatomical doll in a junkyard as Momo assures that they mean no harm and expresses her desire to examine the golden sphere attached to it. Suddenly, they hear a female voice from the garbage calling for the anatomical model named Taro. Taro rushes to the trash to rescue the female anatomical doll, Hana, whom he longs to see and professes his feelings for her despite her attempts to persuade him to leave her behind. As this unfolds, Okarun contemplates the connection between Taro's declarations to Hana and his own feelings for Momo, leading him to blush in realization. After bringing Hana to the ISA residence, Okarun falls to his knees along with Momo and Gigi and begs Seiko to take her in. Seiko initially suggests that Hana stay at Okarun's house, but Okarun insists that the ISA house is their best option. Momo chimes in, reminding Seiko that they allowed Turbo Granny to stay with them, much to the talking cat's annoyance, to be compared to the anatomical model. Momo explains that he returned to the science classroom at their school but will only agree to stay if he gets to see Hana every so often. She also clarifies that the shiny ball he held was a Christmas ornament and not Okarun's Kintama. After persistent pleading from the three, Seiko complies to let Hana stay, providing her relationship with Taro doesn't cause trouble for the neighbors. She then heads to the kitchen to prepare dinner, asking Momo to set the table. As Momo starts setting the table, Gigi comments on her and Okarun's impressive powers. After he witnesses Gigi remove a piece of lint off Momo and proceeds to engage with her with playful banter, causing Momo to smile. Okarun recalls Taro's confession to Hana and feels compelled to intervene. He vaguely informs Momo of his decision to take a stand, much to her confusion, and becomes prompt to sing around Gigi. This then leads to Gigi also singing along with him, much to Momo's irritation as they disrupt her from setting the table. Seiko shouts at them to cease their activities since they're kicking dust and instructs Momo to pack her undergarments in preparation for her stay at Gigi's house for the weekend to cleanse the house of the curse. Okarun becomes shocked, thinking it'll just be the two of them, but Momo reassures him that she planned to invite him to feel more at ease. Hearing this, Okarun states his determination to complete the assignment so Gigi can return to his home. Late at night, Taro sprints out of the school eager to see Hana. On his way out of the hallway, he scares off a couple of students attempting a seance and becomes hit by a truck on his way to the ISA residence. Meanwhile, at the ISA residence, Momo waits with Hana, reassuring her that Taro will arrive and promises to stay by her side until he does. By morning, Taro finally arrives, apologizing to Hana for his delay and explains that he had to reassemble his body parts after being hit by the truck. Momo, waking from a doze, catches sight of Taro kissing Hana and is thanked by Taro for staying by Hana's side. She is then stunned to learn Taro's plan to meet Hana daily. Meanwhile, Gigi lies awake, unable to sleep, haunted by the image of the spirits lurking in his house. After finishing a game of cards on the train ride to Gigi's village, Okarun grows uneasy as he watches Momo enjoying a lively conversation with Gigi, who has just brought out her favorite snacks. Okarun attempts to block out his jealousy by focusing his mind on reclaiming his Kintama, which leads him to accidentally shouting out loud after she senses his discomfort. Much to her amusement at his single-minded focus, Gigi misinterprets this as a dirty joke, but Momo quickly clarifies that this isn't the case. As the two continue their pleasant chat, Okarun tries to shift the attention back to himself by bringing up the topic of the Tsuchinoko. He manages to pique Momo's interest momentarily, but Gigi then mentions a shrine dedicated to the Tsuchinoko in his village. Stealing the spotlight again, Okarun, determined not to be outdone, mentions a shrine dedicated to a kappa. This intrigues Gigi, who then questions whether the Cripid Nessie also exists. Surprisingly, Okarun finds himself engaged in an enjoyable conversation with Gigi, who expresses his respect and admiration for Okarun's knowledge as a friend. Noting how Gigi called him a friend, Okarun awkwardly admits his awkwardness, which causes causes Momo to blush at the Ken Takakura quote. He then wonders why he finds it so hard to dislike Gigi. Upon arriving at the village, Momo's eyes light up with a delight at the sight of the village being a hot spring district. Gigi explains that the hot springs are linked to his father's working study volcanoes, which is why his family moved to the village. Momo is curious and asks if the village volcano is likely to erupt and is reassured by Gigi that the volcano is dormant and hasn't erupted in about 200 years. After climbing a steep flight of stairs, the trio finally reaches the Injoji house. Momo, sensing nothing out of the ordinary, suggests taking some time to rest while also being exhausted from the walk. Okarun notices something in the woods but dismisses his uneasiness as Momo requests for him to head inside. Unbeknownst to Momo, Okarun, and Gigi, a group of people stand observing them from a shadow of this forest. After scouring the house for any signs of paranormal activity, Momo concludes that the ghost must be hiding due to its weak spirit energy, making it hard for her to detect, which was a sign for her that eliminating it will be easy. She then decides to visit the hot spring in the meantime and leaves Okarun with Gigi, with the latter inviting Okarun to play a game of soccer with him. As Okarun learns how to kick the ball around by Gigi, Gigi casually asks if he has feelings for Momo. Much to his shock, Okarun responds that he respects her, which leads Gigi to point out all the things he likes about Momo. This sparks a friendly debate between them on who likes Momo more. Meanwhile, Momo relaxes at the hot spring, wondering if Okarun is getting along with Gigi as his first male friend. Unbeknownst to her, a few men are secretly peeking at her. After Gigi attempts to choke Okarun to have him admit defeat, Okarun interrupts the argument when he informs Gigi that he noticed a mysterious structure connected to the house. At the hot spring, Momo starts to feel lightheaded and decides it's time to get out. Just as she is about to leave, a group of men enters and informs Momo that the hot springs is a mixed bath as said on the rusted sign. While blocking her path, one of the men began to talk about gators, claiming they often show up in hot springs to target women, which prompts him and his colleagues to act as such by slowly closing in on Momo. Momo attempts to summon her powers to defend herself but finds herself too lightheaded and is quickly grabbed by the hands and pushed down into the water, making her unable to fight back. Grabbing a sledgehammer, Gigi breaks through the wall and discovers a room filled with talisman, much to him and Okarun's shock that hints to them there's a deeper secret within the house.